Look into the film. In this video, we will be looking at Jonathan Mingo, the good, the bad, the ugly, and this was his best game a year or so ago versus the Bucks. But coming off and out of college, and this was him at his Senior Bowl, he performed pretty well. He's 6'2", 220 pounds, and right now the Cowboys are angry and upset at the Joneses for going out there picking him up. Keep in mind, this is nothing to do with him, but the organization. We hope and wish all is well. And he's a Mississippi guy. Shout out to Brandon, Mississippi, by the way. But what you're looking for out of him is a physical wide receiver that can use his body and frame. He's not going to get a lot of separation. He's not going to take the top off the defense like I alluded to in his college tape, because speed is different. But if you can look at his measurables here, he's a 4'4", 40 guy. And hey, he's a 2nd-round draft pick, and the Cowboys used the 4th-round draft pick to get him. Now here he is, and he motioned out to the outside. The Cowboys technically don't have a true X receiver on his roster outside of Ryan Flo. Maybe you can put Jalen Tolbert into the mix with that. But to me, on that route, let's look back at that route. He kind of rounded it at the top. He's going to have to sell this a little bit better. He's going to have to squeeze and knife and cut those yardages up a little bit, because the seasonal veteran DB, or a nice DB, not to point any fingers at 27, would have been able to read all over this. But he's able to find a soft cushion here and get to the ball and get a catch there. So that's good for him to get 2 feet in and to corral that ball inside. All right, so here he is motioning. So you can see you can line him up inside the slot as well. It's just an out route. And watch the body slam there. And that's just a good play for them. Okay, red zone opportunity where he can improve at. And the Cowboys, unfortunately, listening in to the Panthers beat writers, they saying that he's a developmental type of wide receiver, and you can see that just off of his release here. Chop inside. He's a little too high off of his routes. Got to get a little lower and got to track the ball, and he have no business of missing this one. I think he had the frame, the size, the redirect wasn't there. Just got to get better in tracking that ball and pulling that in for a tub. And you see him on a motion here. On the far left side, he wears number 15 for the Panthers. Don't know what he's going to wear here for the Cowboys. And just a little still too tall. Gave up too much space inside this route. The throw was there. I want him to come back and attack the ball. You're going to have to get aggressive with his feet. Got to perform a little bit better with that. Off of his stance, I need to see him still stay low, and then dip and come back. There was no reason for him to dive for that. Maybe you can say the throw was a little low, but I want him to come back and attack the ball. Keep in mind, he knows where the ball will be at, right? Because that's the play that's called. The defenders don't know. This is a little screen right here. Makes 2 guys miss. 1, 2, 3. It takes a team of Bucks to get him down here. That's what we're looking for. Physicality. We're looking for someone that can high point the ball and bring it out of the sky. And just lost track of that and would not have been able to catch that one anyway on that ball. But we can look at the releases. Let's go back and look at the releases on that one. Just catching the ball out in traffic. Take more than one person to get him down. But let's look back at this last play, this other play, that it was just a vertical route here. And let's see how he did, okay? All right, so we're looking at it from here. What he wants to play is to leverage and get the single high safety. So it's the one-on-one coverage on the outside. Okay, steps, jabs inside. He gets the space and the cushion that he wants. Now it's time for him to accelerate. He looks back for the ball, and as he's looking, he can't track it. And the ball is thrown out of bounds anyhow. I don't think that he would have been able to get that one. But if we doing anything, I would say that he won off of this particular rep. It's just the quarterback didn't put the ball in the space that it's supposed to be. Look, I'm not saying that this guy's a world beater. I'm not saying that he is a guy that's going to change the game. He's none of that right now. He's got tons of things to do as far as growth. Scans the field here, just finding the soft spot, going down with a good positive play here. I do like that. You know, this was scheme driven, and hopefully the Cowboys in the next few weeks will develop some type of scheme right here. And he's inside the slot once again, and we can see. All right, they do a motion. That motion brings this guy down. keeps the eyes. The quarterback doing a great job of holding right here. And look, he sneaks out right here into this avoided area right here that you would love to see. Great play design too, by the way. We need to keep these in our playbook as well. Great way to get that separation there. And that's something that you can say that's scheme driven right there. Not much on the wide receiver, but you see a little burst after the catch. Those are things that we're looking for. So Mingo, you can line them up on the outside. You can line them inside as well. These are things that we look for. Yeah. And fight through. I like this play, but I didn't like the finish on this one. Try to get some extra yards. Got to hold on to the ball. These are things that young wide receivers must do. And when we was talking about earlier, like with Ron Flournoy, he got a chance to get out there on the field, but yet he fumbled the ball just like he did. And even though we found some grace and mercy on this particular play to fall on it, but you got to protect the ball. There are some raw things that he got to improve on of his releases at the top of the route. He got to sell that better. And on top of that, he got to learn to play with his frame, his body. He got to learn to play with those things. Nothing will be given to him, especially playing now for the Cowboys. The Cowboys get a lot of criticism. So if he wasn't focused in Panthers land, trust and believe, over here in Cowboys world, everybody, mama, uncle, cousin will be looking at you. And this is the brightest of the brightest lights here. He just got to get better with his redirect here at the top of the route. You can get physical there. Got to understand that that's what team's going to do at the top and fight back to the ball. Fight back to the ball. Could the ball placement be better? Yeah, the ball placement could have been better. However, we will see how this would go far as Mingo in the Cowboys silver and blue uniform. Post me your thoughts, post me your concerns down below. I get it. A lot of people don't like my optimisms and don't like this particular pickup. And I get all of that. But at the end of the day, let's figure out a way, one way or another. Get it. I get every single frustration. I'm frustrated. Is he a Devontae Adams? No. Is he a D-Hop? No, he's none of those guys. And was he what he was as it relates to his scouting reporter, Anquan Bolden? No, but he is a young wide receiver with upside and on a very cheap contract, what the Joneses like to do. And we will see how all of this will unfold from here. Post me your thoughts, post me your concerns down below. Shout out to Jonathan Mingo. Mingo, Mingo, and Mingo is his name, yo. So shout out to him, man. I get it. Y'all angry, y'all upset, y'all mad at me. Don't be mad at me. Just be understanding that this is what the Cowboys do. This is how they operate. And all we can do is just try to give this man some love and adulations. DC for life, not for short. Let's get it. Peace. Let's take a deeper look at Jonathan Mingo. First and foremost, he's 6'2", 225 pounds, and he's a 4'4" guy. Got some room for improvement. Nevertheless, when you see him, he's a strong guy at the top of his route, and he can pull the ball out of the sky. And he got good feet for his size. Now, some pro scouting reports showing that their comp is Anquan Bolden, and I see a lot of that in his game. Big, physical, wide receiver. They got good top speed that can take it the distance. And on top of that, a guy that you can put on the edge that can block. I like seeing Jonathan Mingo. I think that he's a real good pickup. If the Cowboys decide in the late rounds, he will be a guy that's not afraid to catch the ball in traffic. He will high point the ball and pull it out of the sky. And on top of that, he clearly can be a vertical threat for you, still with that 4.4 speed at the top of his route. And his hands, they're pretty good. Not a lot of production at Ole Miss. When you look at the tape, you can still see that this dude got unbelievable potentials. And when you think about it, there was other wide receivers that played in the National Football League that came from that program, Ole Miss. Shout out to my Mississippi boys. And when you look at Jonathan Mingo, you can see you can line him inside the slot. You can line him up on the outside. He can take the top off the defense if given on the vertical stretch. And on top of that, he's a physical wide receiver that can high point the ball, that can give you that. And when you start looking at everything, the strength is there. He bench pressed the 225 22 times. He is one of those guys that if you try to jam him and if you miss, he can embarrass you. Now, all of that goes into play that this dude can be a draft steal for your team, because a lot of people may look at the other wide receivers that's shorter. A lot of people may look at the other wide receivers that got higher production, and they will leave out the fact that this dude is physical. The traditional size of the wide receiver, 6'2", with the 4.4 speed that can take the top off the defense, that can get the separation. Those things that I like out of his game. Will there be some improvement needed? Yes. Do he sometimes play getting off his release a little too high? Yes. None of these guys are finished products. All of these guys got to go through some growing pains one way or another. However, when you look at his game, you can clearly see that this dude got a dog mentality. He got untapped potentials. And on top of that, when you start looking at his overall collective skill set and his comp being Anquan Bolden, come on, y'all. I can't wait to see this guy take it to the next level. And if he goes through this process of a lot of people overlooking him, my, oh my, Jonathan Mingo, write that down. People will be looking at it and saying, what a blessing. The untapped potential, 6'2", 225 pounds, bench pressing 225, 22 times. Man, shout out to my guy from Brandon, Mississippi, Jonathan Mingo. He will be that guy that can be a steal for a team. And why not let it be the Cowboys? That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. Salute.
The name that keeps on coming up in multiple places is, why is no one on your network, or why is no one on ESPN talking about Jonathan Mingo, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss? He's 6'2", he's 225 pounds. Measured it at the combine and did a 4.4 640. You see that Ole Miss uniform, you think A.J. Brown, you think Elijah Moore, you think DK Metcalf.